everybody. Forged Comic News, episode 76. If you can't tell, just me this week. Mike is off doing important international business, as we like to say. But I want to make sure you still got an episode. You still got something to listen to this week. He should be back next week, and we have a cool guest for you as well. We also have a cool guest for you today. I have Miss Holly Adkins, who is doing her Kickstarter campaign for her book Further. So we talked to her for a little bit, chat about the book. When you were listening to this, make sure you check out Kickstarter and go see if the book is something that you're interested in, and then pledge to it if you feel so. She's worked very hard on the book. The book's come out looking fantastic, and I should have my full review up by the end of the week as well, so that you can, if you want to wait for my opinion on it, you can do that too. So, like I said, short episode, and it's going to be a different thing today. So I'm doing this quick intro. We'll jump into the interview when I'm done here. And then after that, I want to add on an early viewing of the comic book reading club we do every month on youtube.com/forgedcomicnews. So if you're an audio listener only, you may or may not know about this, but every month I pick a comic, graphic novel. We read it. I talk about it for a little bit. If you guys want to be a part of it, there's a Slack channel you can get into on patreon.com/forgedcomicnews. And just $1 gets you in there, and you can join in on the fun. So I'm going to throw that at the end of the episode so that you guys can listen to it, see if it's something you like. If you do like it, you can jump in on next month's book and join us there. If you're watching us on YouTube, you may or may not know that I do this already. And I'm jumping in on there a few days early so that you can get the first early look. It'll also post on its own independently as I knock over a bunch of stuff. It'll post on its own independently Wednesday, I believe, the 20th. And so if you want to wait till then, you can enjoy it there too. So that's going to be the episode. Sorry for, there's been some big news, but it's all stuff I really want to talk to Mike about. And I know that you come here for our opinions and our banter, and I think that this news especially needs to come through that lens. So we'll talk about that next week, I promise you. And enjoy the rest of the show, guys. Thanks for watching. Hey everybody, Chris here. Quick interruption of the podcast. Please, if you have any comic needs, any of the books that we talk about today you want to pick up, you have any supplies you need that you need to pick up, go to the link down below in the description of this video and or podcast audio feed and click on my link for mycomicshop.com. Great service. They deliver everything straight to your home. Weekly auctions. They have all the supplies you need, all the weekly books you want, all great stuff. And if you use my link below, you show them that you care about everything we do here at Forged Comic News. So please, if you need anything, remember to click on my link down below. And on to the interview, everybody. Hope you enjoy. And welcome back, everybody. I have a special guest with us here today promoting her Kickstarter campaign. It's Holly Adkins, and the book is called Further. Hi, Holly. How's it going?
Hey, how's it going? Great to be here.
I'm doing great. So I haven't had a chance to read through the comic since I just got it this afternoon, but you have a Kickstarter campaign going on the time this launches. So why don't you tell everybody what the book is all about?
Yeah, sure. So it's the first book in a series that I've been writing since 2014. It's about two teenagers in a fictional English town called Manfred Jones, who she is a musical prodigy who ends up being trapped in this strange house. And then there's Nicholas Worthing, whose family is like an old money family, owns the house, and they both get trapped there by sort of a ghost that's sort of stuck in this attack mode from the past traumas they were dealing with. And basically they're stuck dealing with this supernatural entity, even though both of them would rather just complain about Instagram.
And you're the writer of the book, correct?
Yep. So I do all the writing and I do the art as well.
Oh, you're doing the art as well. Okay.
Yep.
So interesting premise. I mean, where did the idea for this come from?
That's actually kind of a good thing. It came from a couple different areas. So I had these characters for years. I'd actually had Manfred as a character since 2001, which I know because that's when Pokemon Crystal came out.
Speak my language.
Well, when you first have a character and like when you were playing Pokemon Crystal, you just end up playing into it. And then I literally don't remember where Worth came from, just appeared sometime around college. And I wanted to write a story about them because I liked them a bunch. And I just wanted to actually push that further rather than just sort of playing around with like fun doodles and just actually be like, no, I want to tell a story around it. So I was reading through ideas for your stories, and this great comic creator, Magnolia Pearl Porter, said, if you want to write something or you want to create something, do something that's really indulgent and something that you genuinely enjoy. And so I kind of came to two things. One was Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So I'm like, what would that sort of story be like if everyone was just really not suited to saving the day? Like, not even just like, oh, they're just average people, but just like average people who are barely interested, like, and don't really want to get involved. And then I also thought about when I was in high school and the weird stuff that happened there, as well as stories from like boarding school when my mum was in boarding school, because I always really loved like the Harry Potter series as well. So I just combined all of that together, and it just built out from there. Cool.
And so you mentioned Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Was it important to you for the lead character to be a woman?
Wow, that's a great question. I think it's kind of like I spent a lot of time, just because I am a woman, when I was a kid growing up with thinking of my own girl characters to everything. Like, I guess it wasn't a thing like, it wasn't born out of, I need to, add female characters into it. That came much later, like in, high school and uni when I started, picking up these things and thinking about writing comics. When I was a kid, though, I was just like, I'm a girl, so I just want a girl character to go on these girl adventures. And, they don't even have to be. And when I say girl adventures, it really was like Temple of Doom. Like, I want a girl Indiana Jones or something. Like, the same story, but, that's just pretty much where that pulls from.
Okay. Yeah, it's always interesting to know, like, where the characters come from, because whenever I write something, I take a very obvious white male approach to it, so I'm always interested in hear what other people have to say about that.
Yeah. Totally. I think we all sort of pull from areas that from our experience, and I think Further's a story that really pulled a lot more from my personal experiences, more than I expected it to, basically.
And so you're taking a supernatural bend to this. Is that an area of fiction or even in reality that really interests you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So I'm probably the biggest non-believer in my household in things, which is very upsetting to my mum, who's like ghosts all the time from her childhood, and then apparently saw a ghost in a castle last time we were in Britain. But I absolutely love stories of supernatural. I've always loved mythology. I've always loved just like horror stories. So like when I was in primary school, for example, there was this whole story of, and you're gonna have to forgive me, I did not know what Nightmare on Elm Street was, that there was a guy called Freddy Krueger who lived inside this tree in our primary school, and he would come out and murder people if you didn't like give appropriate sacrifices. So there was a lot of build up from that, of just like really jumping into this. And then that actually continued on with one friend, not with that in story in general, not with Freddy Krueger. And he apparently had a murdered wife, which was like 2 tree roots lying on top of each other. But also just, people were like, I want you to keep telling me horror stories. So we just kept doing it. And then that's always just been something I've been fascinated in.
Very cool. So is there a horror bend to this then?
I would say so, yeah. I think as the story goes on, it becomes sort of darker rather than, shading, like moving away from that. But I don't try to limit to just super like natural horror. It sort of plays with both, I feel, in between. I really like where horror's going lately as well as a genre. I think it's just, it's finally getting the focus it deserves. So I feel like people are really understanding more that it's about getting an understanding of what our base fears are and what that means as like a society and people. So it's really exciting to play with that.
Man, I wish my co-host was here with me today, because you're hitting on all the things he loves. Horror, mythology. You're going down the list. So, I mean, the book. So we got the premise, we got the idea. Now tell me about the art style. What is your art style like?
That's a good question. I pull it from a lot of different areas. So I'm really, a lot of my art style is pretty much, it's very much its own bent. It's been honestly described from anywhere from like anime to superhero comics to Magic School Bus. So, but there's a lot of play online, and I actually recolored a lot of the pages because a lot of the old coloring style was fake watercolors in Photoshop, and it didn't actually work well when you printed it. So I've actually pulled a lot from the old Disney movies from like around like 101 Dalmatians were being created. So sort of that style of shading where it's like it plays in on each other in terms of harmonious form, and then there's strong like color blocking, but it's not about exact precision of like pure clean into the line itself. I think that actually bleeds well into the horror aspect of it, because there's certain things that are rough, and sometimes, you know, you are lassoing things that are perhaps, you know, not exact. It sort of plays up the emotions of the scene a lot better, I feel.
Very cool. So it sounds to me like you're doing pretty much all the chores on this book. Is there anything that you're not directly involved with when it comes to the actual creation of the comic?
The actual creation itself, not as such. I do everything myself. I found a lettering program online actually to do my own lettering as well, so I can like build my own font. That is pros and cons to that. But no, I do all of that myself. I just literally just started it in 2014, literally on Halloween in Australia, and just started posting it online, and yeah, just got traction from there.
So this was originally a webcomic then?
Yes, and it's still, and once this Kickstarter's ended, I've literally moved countries, and once I get my tablet back, it'll be posting online again for chapter 2, and then going through with that in the interim.
So if people want to check out the webcomic, where can we send them?
Okay, at the moment, it's on further-comic.tumblr.com. I will be moving that soon to Taptastic, probably, or one of those or Webtoon, depending. I'm just vying up the two of them, just because that works a lot better with mobile users, which is like 51% of people looking at the internet these days.
Oh, yeah. And so, once again, if you're listening to this, the Kickstarter has started. So, all you got to do is go on Kickstarter, look up, is it going to be Further graphic novel? Yep. Look that up, pledge. I've taken a quick glance at the book. The art is really cool. I enjoyed that. I'll be putting out my review hopefully before Monday so that people can get my opinion of it as well. And if people want to follow you even further, do you have Twitter or Instagram or anything like that we can send them to?
Absolutely. So on Twitter and Instagram, it's Tiny Telephones. And Facebook, it's Adkins with another A, and that's going to be maneuvered to a different name soon, but it's still Adkins with an A through the Kickstarter. Okay.
Well, thanks, Holly, again for being on the show. I really appreciate you taking some time to talk to us.
No worries. I really appreciate you taking time to talk to me. You have a great evening.
You too. Hey guys, Chris here, interrupting the show real quick. Remember, if you want to show your support for Force Comic News, head on down to patreon.com/Force Comic News, where just $1 a month gets you access to our Slack channel, where we can talk comics all day and all night, and exclusive Patreon podcast that we're uploading very soon. A series of games that we play with all the great guests we have here on Force Comic News. You're going to get one of those every month. and just $1 a month gets it for you. So remember, that's the best way to show your support there and to help a growing community and to be a part of it with us. So everybody, thanks for your support, and on with the show. Hello everybody, and welcome to the Fortress Comic News Comic Book Reading Club for June of 2018. This month we chose to read Hal Jordan, The Green Lantern Corps, Volume 1 by Robert Venditti, Ethan Van Sciver, and many more artists. We picked this one because we didn't know, be linking right now, on our episode 75 of the Fortress Comic News podcast, we had Mr. Robert Venditti on the show to talk about his career and the different books he's done. So I wanted to do Hal Jordan, Green Lantern Corps as kind of to go with the episode. So let's jump right into the book. Hal Jordan, Green Lantern Corps was a fantastic kind of beginning point for anyone reading Green Lantern. As someone who's read lots of Green Lantern over the years, I really enjoyed it. I thought it just gave a good kind of starting off point. Even the mysteries that are there that might not be obvious to people who haven't been reading Green Lantern are vague enough that you get the idea, and if you want to go back, you can find out. So we kind of start with the Green Lanterns are no longer around, and Sinestro and the Sinestro Corps have taken over. And Sinestro is growing very old and weary, and his daughter has taken over the Yellow Lantern Corps. And in this, she has brought them up to a place where they are now the police of the universe. But it's the Yellow Lantern Corps. You know there's something there. Although she has good ideas, her heart is in the right place, her father's is not. So her father, through all this, is trying to figure out how to take this situation and use it for his own good. And how he does that is he takes over the spirit of Parallax into himself, rejuvenates his body, and brings him back to the old Sinestro that we know and love, except even more powerful. While this is all going on, the Green Lanterns are coming back to the universe. They found their way out of their prison that they've been stuck in. And while that's going on, Hal Jordan is somewhere else, and he has found a way to create his own Green Lantern ring without the help of the Green Lanterns. Now, through all this, one thing to know is that Gambit and the rest of the elder people from Oa has been destroyed. The Yellow Lantern Corps has taken over Sector 0. So there is no Green Lantern Council. So all the members of the Green Lantern Corps are on their own throughout all this. So we get Hal Jordan, he gets his ring, and he starts going around and tries to cause good. So through all this, Hal realizes that he has become pure will energy and uses that to fight Sinestro. On the other side, we got the Green Lantern trying to figure out what to do. Do they sit around, lick their wounds, and figure out what the next plan is, or do they go out and do something? So they send out Guy Gardner. And Guy Gardner picks a fight with the Yellow Lanterns and gets captured. Finds out their whole big plan. There's a very religious cult inside of the planet that the Yellow Lanterns have created. They have this fear engine where they suck the fear out of people, and it boosts the power of all the Yellow Lanterns. And he's just gone for too long. And the Green Lanterns sit around going, what do we do? The right move is to sit here, power up, figure out our next move. But one of our guys is out there. And so, of course, they go out and they try to fight it. In that, they meet up with Hal Jordan. And the final fight is there. So, I really enjoyed this book. Like I said, I think it's a great starting off point for anyone who's not a big Green Lantern fan, or someone who hasn't read any Green Lantern. I think you can pick this up, jump right into the story, get what's going on, and it ends you off in a place where the next volume will just move on to a story and not have to worry about all the back talk and all the back thinking and everything. it puts Hal Jordan right in the forefront. It gives him almost a godlike status where he sacrifices himself for the greater good. Now, he sacrifices himself. We don't really know at the end of this if he's alive or dead, but the book is called Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps, so I have a vague idea that maybe he's still alive in Volume 2. And it was just an overall fun read. I really enjoyed it. I hope you guys did too. It was a lot of fun. So, for next month, we're going to jump into Marvel's 1602 by Neil Gaiman. It's a book that I've always heard about. I always respect Neil Gaiman, but Neil Gaiman's a writer I've never really looked into. It's one of my big holes in comics. So I want to jump into 1602, check it out with all of you, and hopefully it's as good as I've heard. After that, we're going to jump back into our Crisis series, especially with the announcement recently that there's a new Crisis book coming out. I figure we go through all the Crisis books, and it'll be a good kind of tie-in with what DC's doing right now. But I wanted to take, like I said, a little bit of time off from that and jump into some of these other books. So do that. And remember, guys, if you're still with me, if you want to be a part of the conversation, join us, patreon.com/ForgeComicNews. Just a buck gets you into the Slack channel. And we have an independent channel there where we talk comics, and specifically we talk about the comic book that we're reading this month together. So I hope you all grab 1602, read it with me, and then come back next month for the next episode. And if you're enjoying what we're doing here, remember, share with your friends, subscribe to the channel, thumbs up down below, all that cool stuff. Comment below. Let me know what you thought of Hal Jordan, the Green Lantern Corps #1. If you have any suggestions for books moving forward, comment me, or if you're in with the Patreon Slack channel, tell me there, and I can throw it onto the list, and we can check it out, and all that fun stuff. So everybody, I really appreciate you watching. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and remember, as always here at Forge Comic News, keep on reading those comics.